What's up, guys, and welcome back to Lincoln. I almost said Markham, but yeah, we're in Lincoln, and yeah, we've made it all the way through to November 1st. I think I'll go back to doing 4 episodes a season. At the end of when I was doing my Markham career, I think we got to 3 episodes a season. Basically January transfer, summer transfer deadline day, January transfer deadline day, and then end of season review. I think we'll do end of summer, then we'll do one just around here, like November time, start of November, and then we'll do January, and then it'll be the end of the season. It's just that the section between now and January can take forever, especially if you're in quite a lot of tournaments, given that that's the festive period tends to be quite compact with games, so it takes quite a while to get through it. Actually, it takes more than you would expect. It's hard to judge sometimes how much time it's going to take to get from one season, one transfer window to the next. But anyway, we're in November, and if we have a look at the tables, we're in the Checkatrade Trophy, but we'll skip past that for now, and we'll get straight into the league, where you can see we're sitting 6 points clear. It's not too bad. 6 points clear. We've got a pretty decent looking goal difference there. I mean, most of that goal difference has come from our goals scored. Goals conceded, we're not doing too badly, but we could be doing better. I mean, if you look at Mansfield and Cambridge, both pretty decent goal difference, goals against, compared to us, with our 19 to their 13 and 11. So, yeah, I think we're kind of lacking in the defensive sector, but we're doing all right up front, which is what's really giving us the ability to be top of the table. And actually, interestingly, I checked the table a few weeks ago, and Mansfield were sitting, I think, on 28 points, and we were on 29. So in the last 3 weeks or so, I think we dropped points one game, and we won the other 2. Mansfield have only managed to pick up a point between then and now. So yeah, I think they've had a bit of a struggle. We've had a bit of a struggle as well, actually, in a few of our recent games, but it seems like the teams that we play against, they kind of push really hard to get back into the game. And for instance, the last game, the game I just played, I think it was against Crawley, they pushed, we were 2-0 up, and they pushed really hard and managed to get it back to 2-2, but they didn't stop pushing. They kind of kept going and played all-out attack for the last 5-10 minutes of the game, and gifted us 2 goals because they had no defence. So we ended up winning the game 4-2. But if they had just stopped, as soon as they got back to 2-2, they could have just stopped, gone back to a balanced or even an attacking mentality as opposed to ultra attack. They would actually have probably been able to hold us off, and possibly have even won the game because the momentum was with them. But they didn't. They kept going all out attack, and we just caught them on the counter-attack twice and scored 2 goals and ended the game 4-2. So, yeah, it's a bit interesting, some of the stuff that's been going on recently. And, yeah, I'll take it. I mean, sitting top of the league, looking pretty decent. Not had any injury worries yet. It seems like I think this game isn't as serious on injuries as FIFA 17 was. FIFA 17 really, you get an injury, it was bad usually. You might get one that's a couple of weeks. But the amount of 6-month injury layoffs, 4-month injury layoffs that I had in my Markham career was ridiculous. And so far, touch wood, we've not had any significant injuries. We've had 1 or 2, but it's only been for a couple of days, 5 days at most, and then they're back. So it's nothing really to worry about. But yeah, we're doing pretty well in the league. Stevenage looking absolutely atrocious with 9 points from 16 games. Only managing to win 1 game and draw 6 to be bottom of the table. So they're not looking very good. But, yeah, as for us, looking pretty decent. In the Cups, we got knocked out, unfortunately, from the Carabao Cup, the League Cup. We got knocked out by Bournemouth, unfortunately. It was a step too far for us. We just couldn't quite get over the line with Bournemouth. It was actually quite an unfortunate game. We didn't have many chances, but the chances we had, we probably should have done better with. There was one chance I had with Matt Green. I got in behind their defence, and he's pretty quick, Matt Green. But unfortunately, well, actually, amazingly, Francis managed to get back and make an absolutely stunning last-ditch tackle to clear the ball just as I was about to, well, hopefully stick it in the back of the net. I was about to shoot, and somehow he managed to get back up alongside us and slide tackle, get his foot around the front of us and get a foot on the ball just as we were about to shoot, and it skewed off miles away. But that was probably our best chance in that game, and unfortunately we conceded one. Yeah, as for the Carabao Cup, it's now made it all the way through the draw for the quarter-finals done, and there's still some pretty big teams in there. Chelsea drawn against Wolverhampton, Arsenal, Everton is a pretty big game, and Man City versus Burnley as well. Burnley. That's a bit of an interesting looking game there as well. Yeah. So no massive upsets really, not yet. Anyway, so we'll see. The Everton Arsenal game would be an interesting one. See who wins that. But that's the League Cup, and that's pretty much all there is to talk about really. I think we've played one game of the FA Cup. I'll have a look at the calendar. Hang on. So we're playing Morecambe next in the Checkatrade Trophy, which we managed to get through. I think, yeah, Port Vale we beat 5-1 in the first round. I think it's the first round of the Checkatrade Trophy. Second round maybe? Second round, yeah. Yeah, second round of the Checkatrade Trophy. We managed to absolutely pummel Port Vale 5-1, and we've got through, and we've been drawn against Morecambe. So we'll head there, and hopefully we'll manage to. Well, it's at us. So Morecambe will head here, and hopefully we manage to beat them and continue on in the Checkatrade Trophy. I think Morecambe are sitting about 10th, I think, in the league. So I think this is probably their main focus, I would imagine. I mean, like, I think their main focus this season is not to get like bottom half. Like, if they could finish mid-table, I think that's Morecambe's probably target for the season. But if they could have a decent run in Checkatrade Trophy, it's probably their only chance of any sort of decent silverware this season, or any sort of success this season would be the Checkatrade Trophy. So we'll see what happens with them. I think they'll probably feel a pretty strong team, but we'll see what they chuck at us, and hopefully we'll deal with that. But yeah, I don't think the FA Cup's started yet. I think we're maybe a few weeks away from the start of the FA Cup. But yeah, as you can see, we lost 1-0 to Bournemouth. It's been a really unfortunate draw for us in the League Cup, being drawn against Burton Albion, then Norwich, two Championship sides, and then we get drawn against Bournemouth in the third round. So in 3 rounds, we get 2 Championship and a Premier League club. Like, that's, for a League 2 side, that's extremely unfortunate. I'm pretty sure there's probably a couple of teams out there who've got all the way through to the 4th round without even seeing anything above a Championship, like seeing anything above a League 1 team. So it's yeah, it's a bit annoying. But anyway, we have to make do with whatever the draw gives us. Unfortunately, has the FA Cup been drawn yet? No. So we don't know who we've got in the FA Cup. Hopefully somebody decent and not too difficult. But anyway, that's pretty much everything about the tables. I'll have a look at the squad. Our squad's doing pretty well. Rabbity up a point. Bostwick actually is a really good player, although I think FIFA updated itself like a couple of days ago, which reduced the amount of the ability of long shots. So I think like Bostwick in the first few weeks of the season was absolutely amazing. He would pick up the ball in the midfield and you could like stick it top corner with him. So well, like he was just so good. Like there was a couple of times I shot and it like hit off the crossbar and stuff like that. So it was very close to getting some really stunning goals, and he did get 1 or 2, but he's kind of not been as effective in the last few weeks, and I think that's been because FIFA updated and the long shots are no longer as effective as they were at the start of the when the game first came out. But he's still a very good player, and he's a bit slow though. It's my one downside with him. He kind of lumbers about a bit, but apart from that, he's a good player. Ginley as well's coming along quite well. So is Anderson. I don't know any of the first names properly yet. I know a few. Matt Green, Michael Boswick as well. I know a couple of first names. I will eventually learn them all, but for now I still don't know everybody's first name. But yeah, these two, Ginley and Anderson, coming along very nicely. Still quite young, both of them. Yeah, Ginley's only 20, I think. Sorry, Anderson's 20. So is Ginley as well. So yeah, a couple of pretty decent young wingers coming along, and they're both pretty rapid as well. So yeah, looking quite good. We've also got Arnold on the bench, who was playing quite a bit at the start of the season, but he's 29, so he's like, you know, he's reached his peak. I think he'll start to come down, whereas Anderson and Ginley have got potential to keep going. I've been training Raggett up to 70. I've now stopped and started training Dickey as well, so he's now at 63. Just try and get that defence a bit stronger. Actually, while we're talking about defence, Waterfall wants to leave. I just got an email from him saying that he's not getting enough game time and he wants to leave, which is kind of unfortunate. But the problem is we don't have enough fixtures. And also I think it seems like energy is not as big an issue in this game. We'll wait until the Christmas period and then we'll really find out. But so far this season, compared to FIFA 17, energy doesn't seem to be as big a factor. It seems like players recover pretty well between games. So if we're playing like 2 games a week, I think that might be slightly different. But so far, even with our like playing every weekend and then the occasional cup game midweek, we're doing pretty well. Like I never really have to do any sort of massive squad changes. Maybe 1 or 2 players rotate around, but it's not been as big an issue as FIFA 17 has when it comes to our energy levels. So yeah, he's unfortunately wanting to leave, which we'll have a look at in the summer. In January, and see what happens with that. Palmer's got a knock, but I think it's only 5 days. I think he like twisted his elbow or something like that. But yeah, unfortunately, we lost him for a week or so. Habergam as well is doing pretty well, and yeah, squad's looking not too bad. Although something strange has happened with my my youth squad. Some of the players that I got at the start of the season who looked like they were going to be really good and had really high potential, suddenly they're not looking as tasty as they once were. For instance, Igor Cardozo, our striker that we picked up in the first like couple of weeks of the season. We sent out a scout. He was one of the first players back, and his potential, I'm sure. I'm like, you know, I'd have to go back and check, but I was like pretty well certain that his potential was at least like up to 89, possibly even into the 90s. And all of a sudden, not even just like recently, since the end of last month. So we're now November 1st. I checked, like I actually like didn't save. I went back and like went into the game again back in like at the end of October. Went forward and October 31st, his potentials were sitting in like the mid 80s. So was this guy, Guilherme Alvarez. Both their potentials were sitting in the mid to high 80s. And you fast forward one day to November 1st, and their potentials have changed and gone down significantly. So I was training this guy quite a lot, and I was really hoping that by the end of the season he could be like in the first team, possibly like, you know, looking to be a player for the future and really bring him through. And he could be our number 1 striker for quite a while, but unfortunately, it looks like that might have to be chucked out the window effectively, because he's just, although he's going to be good, like, you know, up to 79, by the time he reaches that sort of level of potential, it like we'll probably, well, aiming to be at least championship at that stage in like 2 or 3 years. I would hope to be sort of looking at getting into the championship. And yeah, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 years before he hits his like sort of potential, and it like by that point 79, although it's not nothing bad, like it's nothing awful. If he hits 79, then he'll be fine. But he could only make it to 67, and that's basically useless if you get into the championship. So yeah, kind of annoyed at that. I'm kind of annoyed at that. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a glitch that like the potentials have just gone through the floor for some reason. Or if like, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because like if I had a player like that who's 75 to 94, I wouldn't expect his potential 1 month later to suddenly drop down to 63 to 77. Like it just seems odd. Like surely if your potential's 75 to 94, at the very least you should be making 75. Your potential shouldn't change and suddenly drop down to like 60s. So I don't know if it's like a feature where they want you to like sign players faster rather than leaving them in your youth team for months and months and months, but it's really annoying, and I don't really know why it does it. So yeah, anyway, we do have a couple of really good looking players coming through. This guy, I sent out a scout, like I sent out a scout for the scout, like a player for the future sort of thing, and they returned this lad whose potential has already gone down. His potential was in the 94, like mid 80s to 94, and it's already gone down to 71 to 89 in the last month. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but he's already 63 rated, so he could go straight into the first team. But he's only 15, so I can't sign him yet, which is kind of unfortunate. So we have to wait like a season before we can sign him into our first team. We have a good-looking goalkeeper here, Felipe Silveira, and yeah, this guy as well's got decent potential. Like, there's just like a lot of good potential players, and hopefully their potential actually is what they do actually get to that sort of potential, and it doesn't just change all of a sudden and suddenly they're gone from being the next Messi to being absolutely awful. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm not really sure why it's done it, but we'll have to make do. Anyway, that's pretty much all I was going to chat about this week. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe as well if you're new around here. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next week when we'll be in the January transfer window. So until then, cheerio.